A dawn departure from Perth, capital city of Western Australia. Naturalist Barbara York-Main has lost count of the journeys she's made along this road, but not the discoveries that she's made at the end of it. It's a 2-hour drive through farming country to reach Barbara's study site. Once this wheatland was just bush. Not far from here is the start of the desert that stretches eastwards across almost the entire width of the continent. Just past Tamin, head for Bungalla and find a small wildlife reserve at the roadside. Here is a patch of Australia as it used to be, a place to see events that have been going on since long before man arrived on this continent. There are larger spiders, yes, but as spiders come, this one is bigger than most. The 2 parts of its body are each the size of a 10-cent or 10-pence coin, and yes, you do need to handle with care. Not that our spider is able to see all that well, even with 8 eyes set high on its head, but it's acutely sensitive to touch and vibration, and if roused, it will strike swiftly with its twin fangs. And its bite can cause severe discomfort for humans, sometimes much worse. Hardly endearing qualities, but then Barbara's relationship with this spider is founded on sterner stuff. A naturalist's desire to know how the trapdoor spider, Anidiops villosus, manages to live here at all. Barbara York-Main was raised at her family homestead, which is not far from here. She grew up among these clusters of she-oaks and walked the roads when they were just dirt tracks lined with salmon gum trees. This was her playground, a place for anthill watching, for naming plants and knowing the shape and touch of acacia and casuarina. Wodgil, that's the Australian name for this dry, brittle bushland. And this is what it all looked like not so long ago. Not worth much, that's what Barbara's father must have thought as he hacked it back to make ready for the first ploughing. No, not much to it, unless, like Barbara, you've already made a commitment to study the wildlife on the Wodgil. To the passer-by, and there are not many in this remote place, there is just a confusion of shape and pattern. But for Barbara, under the acacias and down among the she-oaks, there's something worth counting.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Gosh, there could be at least 25 here. And there's another one.
Random wind-blown litter, yet there is unmistakable order among the leaves and twigs, and this dedicated naturalist can spot at a glance that all over this ground there are the hidden homes of trapdoor spiders.
So there's a tussock here, that should be right. The acacias, she-oaks. There's a good lot of litter here. Should find something. Ah, there's a good one.
The temptation is irresistible.
That's a big one.
It's a still night in early autumn. The days are warm, but now a crisp chill blankets the Wadjil. Ideal conditions for Anidiops to be on the move. Careful to avoid disturbing the nests, Barbara returns to watch the group she found earlier in the day. Unlike the aerial acrobats, the web makers and the gossamer spinning spiders with which we're more familiar, Barbara's spiders spend their lives underground, hidden below their trapdoors. Trapdoor spiders are the trolls, the troglodytes of the spider world, and they demand night-long silence and patience from anyone wishing to watch their secret nocturnal behaviour. This 15mm doorway conceals a young spider, almost certainly a yearling. Door measurement gives an indication of size and age of occupant. No doubt that an adult lives below this door. It's 3 times the size of the yearlings. Quite suddenly, a movement attracts Barbara's attention. After 9 months as hatchlings living entirely underground, young spiders are leaving the mother's nest for the first and only time in their lives. Barbara's records show that a favoured time for emergence is on cool nights following an autumn rainstorm. Now there will be few predators about, a bird or two, but no scorpions or centipedes to make a meal of the emerging juveniles. Some 20 youngsters will leave the parental nest this night. Within minutes, the youngster selects a site in the litter for its own nest. Some will settle less than a metre away from the mother. Others move farther afield, so increasing future breeding opportunities with a progeny of nearby females. Their nest building is an enterprise which, by any standard, is one of nature's most technically impressive undertakings. Without rest, the young spider digs and thrusts aside the soil to make the nest entrance. Each minute it lifts many times its own body weight. But like many ground-living spiders, Anidiops has something else up its sleeve, or more correctly, at the rear of its abdomen, the spinnerets. They produce fine threads of silk. Each damp fragment of earth and stone is drawn together to become one. This is the trapdoor in the making. And, as if to cap that, Anidiops does it backwards, with never a slip stitch, even when working, as it were, inside out. Now the trapdoor hinge is extended out from the veranda that surrounds the nest entrance. Soon the newly emerged spider is secure beneath a lattice of pliable silk and earth that will begin to harden in the heat of tomorrow's sun. What predator would know that Anidiops lives below? The deception seems complete. Yet, far from concealing their presence, the delicate fans of leaves and twigs at each cluster of nests seems to focus attention on nest entrances. Why, and indeed how, does Anidiops need to make such a conspicuous display at Barbara's feet? The answer was discovered not on the study site, but remarkably at night in Barbara's laboratory at Perth University. With no visible light, not even Barbara's torch to distract the spider, and using instead infrared light with which to film, we can see for the first time how our spider builds the fan of leaves at the doorway. The half-inch-long juvenile is operating within a tiny environment, smaller than the rim of a teacup. It lays out twigs only around the door opening. The side which supports the hinge is carefully avoided. Using its front legs and feelers to locate and precisely maneuver each leaf into place, the youngster lifts what must be to it the equivalent of a large log. Again, the spider turns inward and anchors each leaf to the lip of the nest with silk. The nest entrance is nearly complete. It's been built in less than 2 hours. As we shall see, the twig lining is no artistic fancy. It is a way of the spider's detecting the arrival of its prey. Nevertheless, it's remarkable that such a small creature is able to first assemble, then over the years repair and enlarge such an intricate structure. The Mygalomorphs, the family to which our spider belongs, are a primitive group of spiders that evolved in jungles and tropical forests. What's different about some of Australia's trapdoors, and those in deserts of other continents, is that they thrive in extremes of climate, even cope with 2 or 3 years of drought or sudden inundation by flood. Barbara is aiming to find out how they do so. Over 12 years, Barbara has marked over 400 individual nests. She has identified breeding females, and with the help of her husband, she's now tracing new nest clusters in each section of the site.
Now, how many nests are there in there? Because I've got 8 on the graph paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that right?
Did you put this 116?
That's all right. Got that one. No, I don't think there are any others. I think we must have got them all. This one's right on the edge here.
This resident is a pregnant female. She'll lay perhaps 50 eggs beneath the silk-covered mud plug. A seal usually broken only when the spiderlings emerge, but now it's being opened to allow cameras to explore within.
Can I just move this camera in, and I'd like to show
Using nests moved temporarily to Barbara's family home, cameraman Jim Frazier and biologist Denzi Klein are recording what lies within.
We want to get a shot, actually down the hole looking at the spider.
It's here that Anidiops spends a lifetime, in a tube lined with transparent silk. The very act of Barbara's unexpected intrusion shows how the spider can cope with uninvited guests. With eyes glinting pinpoints in the bright film lights, the spider instantly retracts behind a silk collar, enough to persuade the most aggressive predator, scorpions for example, that the occupier is very much not at home. Repeated, this time from underground, it's a convincing demonstration of the spider's ability to make effective and instant use of the false bottom to the nest. When the nest burrow is complete, each spider will lead its solitary existence in total darkness below the surface. Here, immature spiders can retreat to estivate, the summer equivalent of winter hibernation, away from the desiccating heat at the surface. Although males are smaller than females, they're outwardly similar, so it's sometimes difficult to distinguish between the sexes. Once mature, probably in the 7th year, a female will mate, returning to her burrow for the long fast while incubating eggs and the young brood, a cycle which can be repeated every 2 years from the one mating. Females can be reproductively active for as long as 20 years, and even that ripe old age may not be the limit of their lifespan here in this subterranean home. Sometimes Anidiops builds its nest in unusual order, as in this case. Burrow first, and the trapdoor only after the tunnel has been excavated and the wall secured with a film of interlocking silk threads. Still damp from the autumn rainstorm, the burrow is prevented from collapsing inwards. By the time it's dry, our spider will have completed the reinforcing silk lining and can retire into the safety of the sock at the bottom of the burrow. Once it's down here, you have to dig deep to reach this most elusive spider. In this arid landscape, with cold winter nights, day temperatures rising to 100 degrees in summer, and drought a constant threat, there is little shade beneath the thin canopy of trees. So how does Anidiops find the more temperate conditions essential for its survival?
It's getting so dry down here.
Dry indeed, and the answer lies buried with Anidiops in the cool of the miniature cave driven into the loamy soil of Western Australia. Isolated from the lethal stress of the sun's heat, surrounded by moisture retained in the soil around the burrow, at 70 centimetres, just over 2 feet down, Barbara finds Anidiops. In a silk-lined burrow at a temperature varying little either side of 28.6 degrees centigrade throughout the year, the burrow is a microclimate that meets the precise requirements for survival. A place the female need never leave, the male only to find a mate. The only improvement you might think of would be to have food delivered right at the door. And amazingly, that's exactly what Anidiops has contrived to arrange. From the spider's underground midden, Barbara inspects the remains of ants, the hard carapace of beetles, the inedible remnants of termites sucked dry by the spider. Here's confirmation that for 2 years at least, supplies of food have been varied and regular, all locally grown, and what's more, each creature delivered fresh from the bush supermarket. When darkness comes, sugar ants forage on the surface. This one cleans its antennae before starting what's going to be its last fateful journey. Unaware of danger, the ant is signalling its presence with each step across the twig lines. Vibrations passed instantly to the nest rim above the waiting spider. The capture is brief and final. Now a weevil steps out across the twig lines. There seems to be bewilderment on the part of both weevil and spider at the unexpected encounter. Perhaps more wary, the weevil moves on. The weevil pauses, as if expecting another confrontation, but an attack doesn't materialise. Our potential prey continues unmolested, but not for long. With fangs poised to deliver the coup de grace, the spider hesitates and then rejects the prey. Some individual spiders, it seems, are fussy about their choice of prey. Able to exist without food for long periods, they can afford to be selective when winter comes and food is plentiful. Others, however, seize the opportunity. There's an ample storeroom underground. Another cold autumn night. For Barbara, another nocturnal vigil with the spiders that have for so long attracted her inquiring eye. Each night of research has revealed something new needing explanation. It's required much dedication to discover how an Idiops builds its trapdoor and why it needs to seal itself away from the outside world. Even after a lifetime study, there's still much to be discovered about this one of many groups of Australian spiders. Barbara's work has shown how remarkable it is that such a diminutive and ancient creature retains a foothold in this primitive landscape. Inevitably, this arid bushland will continue to be changed, but with Barbara's help, this reserve in the Wadjil, with its spiders, will always remain a fragment of Australia as it used to be.